Hey guys, OG Albine here, bringing you guys my UPO Wi-Fi Season 2, Week 1 game against Ollie and his, I think it's Basel Bastiodons. I don't know if Ollie's uploading this season, but I know he does definitely upload, so his links will definitely be in the description below. Definitely check him out. As well as our draft analysis if you haven't caught that already. But if you did forget, let's just jump right in. Good segue. Our team consists of the Mega Lucario, Garchomp, Rotom Wash, Rovombi, Roserade, Spiritomb, Steelix, Victini, Reuniclus, Tyrantrum, Braviary, and Kangaskhan, while our opponent's team consists of, sorry, I'm looking at the doc right now, pulling it up. It consists of the Lunala, Manaphy, Togekiss, Alolan Muck, Porygon 2, Magmortar, Palossand, Mega Medicham, Skarmory, Registeel, Gourgeist, and Archeops. So like I said in the draft analysis, if you haven't caught that, this is going to be a little bit more of a laid-back league, so I'm not going to do elaborate team builders, but I will throw up my teams on the screen just so you can see them and, peep exactly, the six that we're bringing, the spreads and stuff, just so you have that background knowledge. But first off is going to be our Mega Lucario, which is our win con this game. We're bringing Nasty Plot set week 1. Nasty Plot, Flash Cannon, Dark Pulse, and Aura Sphere. Hits his team incredibly hard. We have enough EVs to basically live one hit from pretty much anything on his team, not named Mega Medicham. But at +2, we blow that thing away with like a Flash Cannon with a tiny bit of chip, which is, super, super nice in itself, or Dark Pulse or something like that. So Mega Lucario is very, very nice this game. Dark Pulse is honestly very much so for the Lunala. The only thing really standing in the way of this is potentially like a Spadefalo and Muck, but he doesn't know that we're not physically offensive beforehand or we're not Swords Dance. So I don't think that's initially going to be his check, so we can potentially weaken things and get things in the range of our Lucario right here and win. Next up is going to be a Roserade. It is going to be our... Our Manaphy check this week. Manaphy is very, very scary versus us, but it is not one of his Z users, I believe. So we can kind of, play... Oh, no, it is one of his Z users. But this thing can live any one hit from it, even an ICMZ, I believe. We have enough special attack investment to always knock that thing out with Leaf Storm after Rocks, I believe, even if he's max HP. Toxic Twice in case he does not want to bring the Muck or to force the Muck in. I'm not very scared of Muck. I have things like Garchomp and Mega Lucario and things that just pressure it. So I figure getting up T-Spikes if that thing doesn't want to come, or if he, elects not to bring it for stuff like the Lunala to ensure that its Shadow Shield is always broken. I think that's very, very valuable in itself, and poisoning things, other things on the ground that could potentially be a threat to us is also great. Hidden Power Fire for things like Skarmory. So we did have a bit of a 4 moveset syndrome this week. We couldn't really fit much to hit the Muck like I wish we had HP Ground or something like that, but unfortunately couldn't really fit it. But yeah. Next up is going to be our Spiritomb, which has a phenomenal defensive matchup this week. It's rocking out with Shadow Ball, Pain Split, Sucker Punch, Toxic, with a sassy nature. This is going to be kind of a mix, while it's going to be our main Mega Medicham check, but it's also our main Lunala check. But we can stay pretty healthy with Pain Split and leftovers and stuff like that. Sucker Punch is doing a huge chunk to that Lunala if it has its Shadow Shield broken. Shadow Ball as well. Shadow Ball hits the Medi very, very hard as well. Toxic just to wear things down that, would typically come in pretty easy on this thing. It's also a pretty good switch into things like the Gourgeist, and the Sucker Punch is a really nice priority. This thing's a nuisance for him to deal with, in all honesty. He really does not appreciate it, at all, other than the Muck. But we have our next member right here, Garchomp, in order to take care of that guy. Rocking out with a Life Orb, 3 attack set, Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Fire Blast, and Stone Edge. Fire Blast is for things like the Skarmory, if that wants to come, or like a Fizdef Gourgeist. With the Naive and just a little bit of investment we have, we always 2-hit KO that thing with a Fire Blast, even if he's max Fidef, being the Skarmory, and we 2-hit KO Fizdef Gourgeist as well. Stone Edge is for his Mons in the air, like the Togekiss. We do a huge chunk to that thing with Life Orb. I think we have a chance to kill after Rocks. And then Earthquake is very, very spammable versus team as well. Nice Speed tier outspeeds most of his Mons on his team, and is just, a big, big threat versus him. Next up, we have Victini in a really, really cool set this week. We're rocking out with Weakness Policy, Flame Charge, Blue Flare, Thunderbolt, and Will-O-Wisp. So this is a great win con itself too. If we can chip a few things down, it does a lot of work. Flame Charge is to boost our speed. Will-O-Wisp is to burn Mons that would potentially proc our Weakness Policy or even knock us out like the Muck. If we can burn that thing, Knockoff isn't doing very much to us. If we're at full and we burn it after it knocks off our after it knocks us off and gives us our +2, he's actually not 2-hit KOing us. And Blue Flare at +2 always 2-hit KOs him. and we can force him into like perpetually trying to recycle stuff. Like we will beat that thing 1v1 if we come in at the right time and set up on it at the right time, which is super, super nice. And just burning things in general could be super clutch. You never know. And then lastly, we have a Choice Scarf Rotom Wash, a very offensive set this week. Thunderbolt, Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, and Dark Pulse gives us some good speed control for the Manaphy if he is not, Z Rain Dance and isn't boosted up. We can take any one hit from it as well. So we can always, switch and use that as a faster pivot to throw off a Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch or something like that. And then Dark Pulse is for the Lunala right there. So with that being said, let's get these guys off the screen. And then you see our team and our opponent's team. So all I elected to bring the Mega Medicham, Lunala, Alolan Muck, Manaphy, Gourgeist, and Magmortar. So right off the bat, I'm going to lead off with my Rotom Wash. I figure it's my best lead overall. I can Volt Switch out on pretty much anything. All of his likely Scarfers, we should pretty much outspeed, other than like maybe the Magmortar if he's Scarf Manaphy, which makes it a lot less scary. And I can just Volt Switch out into my Roserade because he can't kill us with a neutral energy ball. And I don't think Scarf Lunala comes in this game because we have a Spiritomb that can Pursuit Trap that thing potentially if he locks into the wrong move. So yeah, let's just jump right into the game and see what our opponent wants to do to lead off. Like I said, Rotom, just in my mind, was probably our best and most safe lead in this instance. As we are going to throw out our Rotom Wash right here, as I believe he leads off with the Mega Medicham. Now, I know I can live pretty much any one hit from this thing. Well, obviously we'll be faster, and if he wants to go for Fake Out, it's not doing too much, so we can still live hits we need to. So I figure getting damage off on the thing is great, just so we can guarantee put him in range of a Shadow Ball from our Spiritomb right here. So I am going to Volt Switch right here, as he does go for the Fake Out initially. And that does a huge chunk, which should tip him off that we're offensive, but we are going to go for a Volt Switch right here as he does stay in. He doesn't have a Ground type on his team as well, which made Rotom a pretty good lead. And we do a huge chunk with that Volt Switch, and I'm going to go out into my Spiritomb right here, just because I know I can take any 2 hits from this thing, and I can Pain Split up the next turn if the Muck wants to come in and get a good amount of health back and damage him, as he actually ends up going for the high Jump Kick on our incoming Spiritomb, and he's going to live on, like, legit 1 HP right here, and it would have been nice if we had Pursuit right here, but unfortunately we don't have the move slots for it this week. As he pulls the Switch out, I believe it goes into his Manaphy. I went for the Sucker Punch in case he just wanted to stay in and just kind of get chip off on something, but unfortunately not, as I am going to pull the Switch out into my Rosary right here. This is going to be my designated check to said Manaphy, as he goes for the Tail Glow right here, and boosting up and stuff like that, but I can take a +3 Ice Beam. I can't take a +3 Ice Beam, so I actually am going to switch out and Scout for that. As he switches out himself, he goes out into his Muck, as I believe myself, who do I go out into right here? I go out into my Rotom, because I can definitely take a +3 Ice Beam and, Volt Switch out or Thunderbolt on it or something. But he does go into the Muck. I'm going to get some Volt Switch chip off on this guy, and get out. I can't really beat this thing 1v1. I don't want it to curse up on me or anything. I'm going to go straight on my Garchomp. Again, I know I can live any one hit, and I don't expect him to go for an Ice Punch right here. As he goes for the knockoff, does a decent amount, takes a tiny bit of Rough Skin chip, as he is able to knock off our Life Orb. But that's not the biggest deal. The Life Orb was mainly to guarantee the 2-hit KO on Skarmory. We still hit his team really, really hard with our Garchomp otherwise. As he's going to pull a Switch out into his Gourgeist, and I am going to get up my Stealth Rocks right here. Now, these Stealth Rocks should be here for the remainder of the game, which is great because he didn't break any removal, which means that we're chipping 25% on that Magmortar, and we're guaranteed to break that Shadow Shield on the Lunala. As right here, I'm going to go for a Fire Blast just to gauge damage, and we're going to see that this is physically defensive, but however, since we do not have our Life Orb anymore, we're not able to get the 2-hit KO on this. As he throws up a Leech Seed, he's able to get a little bit of health off on our Garchomp, but not the biggest deal in the world right here, as we do, still do a big chunk to this Gourgeist right here. But he's going to get a decent amount back, as I am going to switch out. I believe I go out into my Spiritomb right here. This thing doesn't scare me too much. He can burn me if he wants. The Sucker Punch priority isn't that big of a deal. I still have Shadow Ball as my main way of hitting Mons, as he does end up going for the Foul Play. So we're not going to take too much from this, being that it is resisted. It still has a decent little chunk right there. But the Gourgeist is going to get back up a decent amount of health right here, as we also get our leftovers, getting a tiny bit back right here. As I believe this turn, he is going to go for the Leech Seed, as I believe I go for, I either go for a Shadow Ball or I go for a, I go for a Shadow Ball. I think I might have gone for Talk this turn. But I am going to go for Shadow Ball. I'm going to do a huge chunk to this thing, in all honesty. He's going to get a tiny bit of health back with his lefties and the Leech Seed, but he should be in range of another Shadow Ball. If he has Synthesis, then that's another story. He might be able to be his 1v1, provided we don't get any drops or anything. And my Spirit Tomb's a very important member still to check that Lunala in the back. Medi isn't as much of a problem. I think it's dead upon rock switching, but I am going to switch out right here into my Victini. I don't expect him to go for a dark or a a dark or a ghost move right here. If anything, I figured he'd Synthesis or he'd go for a grass type move or something of that sort, as he is going to Synthesis up right here, which means I get in my Victini for free, which is very, very nice. And I believe this turn, do I just go for a blue flare or do I not? Do I flame charge right here? I'm trying to remember. He goes into the Manaphy right here, as I believe I go for the Will-O-Wisp. I do, and I am going to be able to land this. I was expecting the Muck to potentially want to come in, but it makes sense that he would go into this first because, he obviously doesn't know if I'm like physical Banded V Create, which would blow that Muck back. I figured this might be the turn he also sacked Medi, but he did not. He kept that in the back for himself right here. As I am going to go out into my Rotom Wash because, again, I think it's a pretty good pivot into his Mons. As he goes for the Surf, it could have lived an Energy Ball from that range because he wasn't boosted at all, as he is going to, get a tiny bit off with the Surf, but he's going to take a little bit of Burn Chip. Expecting him to want to switch out, I am going to go for a Volt Switch right here. He does stay in, however, which isn't the biggest deal. I figure he'll either go for a Tail Glow, or he'll go into, or he'll go for, an Energy Ball or something like that. So that gives me a pretty free Rose Raid right here, as I believe this turn, he is going to go for the Energy Ball. So we do call that correctly, which is very, very nice, as he is going to get a tiny bit of chip off as he takes a tiny bit of more Burn Chip. And I believe this turn he is going to pop the Z. And we're going to see this is not Z Ice Beam. This is Z Water. I think it's just regular Hydro Vortex. I do not think it's the Z Rain Dance, which is also very nice because he won't be allowed to BS, and we can kind of just keep boosting off the Synthesis off this damage right here, because he's going to throw off pretty cool animation. But you're going to see Roserade is very, very bulky from the Spadef side, so we're not going to take very much from this at all. And I'm going to elect to get up a T-Spike right here. This is going to force in the Muck, which is fine because it takes more Rocket Chip, and that potentially lets in my Garchomp or something of that sort. But he is going to take a little bit more Burn Chip right here, as I believe he goes for the Ice Beam right here. We are going to pop our Yachi, which again isn't the biggest deal. This is not boosted, so it's not going to do too much to us. And we are just going to be able to Synthesis off that damage and get back up pretty high right here, as he is going to go even lower due to the burn that we were able to get off with our Victini earlier. Down into a range where one more Burn Chip will probably knock him out, and that or a Rock Switching if he wants to switch out. So he's going to go for another Ice Beam. I know it can live, and I'm just going to go for a Synthesis, get that off right here. And I think the Manaphy is going to go down this turn right here. Forgive me if it's like I'm kind of blanking on some of these turns. This game actually happened a while ago, breaking Immersion fourth wall a little bit. But yeah, down goes the Manaphy. Out comes the Magmortar, which is very nice because he's going to take a Rock Chip and he's going to get poisoned by the Toxspike. I figured he'd go into the Muck to absorb the T-Spike. But again, that's not too big of a deal. I am going to go out into my Rotom right here. The only way he can kill me is if, one, he is Modest, and if he's Modest, he needs an absolute max roll to kill me with Fire Blast, if he's not Life Orb, and two, if he's Specs. So he does go out, I do go out into my Rotom right here, and I am going to drop to this Fire Blast, which is unfortunate, but it gives me good information. At this point in the match, I'm thinking that he is Specs, because it's much more likely than him getting an absolute max roll on Fire Blast, but that is going to come into play later, as you will see. As he is going, I am going to go out into my Garchomp right here. He's going to switch out, which is cool, because now he's going to have to take, more chip next time he comes in. He goes out into the Gourgeist, takes a tiny bit of Rocks Chip, and he takes the Poison, which is great. This is another one we really wanted poisoned, just to make taking it on a little bit easier. I am going to go for the Earthquake. It's going to do a decent chunk to this thing, and the Poison is actually going to offset the leftovers, which is nice because he's not getting as much residual recovery as he was before, which is obviously really nice getting the Poison off on this like this. I wish it would have been, 2 layers up that we could have gotten. I wish we would have been able to get maybe one more T-Spike up with our Roserade. But again, not too big of a deal. I am going to just pull the switch out into my Roserade right here, as he does go for the Foul Play, not doing too much to us in all honesty. Being that we're obviously a special attacker, we're pretty bulky set too, got a lot of HP invested in us, and we're put in a pretty nice position right here in all honesty. He's getting chipped down right now, he's not getting as much recovery due to no leftovers, and the Poison offsetting, giving him a little bit more damage, as now he is going to go into the Alolan Muck, which is again not too big of a deal. I believe I went for the Hidden Power Fire right here, just because it was obviously my best move to hit the Gorgeist, as he does take a little bit of chip, and he reveals to us that he is a Gluttony set with the 50% berry, the Eye of Papa. So he is going to get up pretty high. I'm going to get up my Toxic Specs right here because my mode of thinking is he has to switch out and switch back in to get them gone. And if I can poison that Lunala, that would be very, very nice. And I don't really need my Roserade anymore, in all honesty. And I kind of want to put him at a range where he's potentially in range of my other mons and stuff like that. So I'm going to go for another Hidden Power Fire right here. I know we'll put him in the berry range. He goes for a Recycle right here. And I don't remember if I go for another T-Spike or if I go for Hidden Power Fire right here. I'm trying to remember. I go for Hidden Power Fire because it shouldn't put him in his berry range. It should keep him right. Oh, it does. So I was thinking it might not, but unfortunately it does. But at least at this point, it forces him to recycle it again if he wants to, have that, obviously. And he's going to go for the knockoff right here. We are going to live it on a sliver of HP. And then I'm going to go for another Hidden Power right here, just trying to chip him down. Kind of wish we went down right there because we would have, got to go into a mon and forced him out potentially to where he could not recycle on us. But again, not too big of a deal. He is going to get his Eye of Papa back. I'm going to go for one more Hidden Power. This one should definitely not put him in range of his berry. Yeah, this is the one I was thinking about earlier. But he is going to go for the knockoff. And he is going to finish off our Roserade. But Roserade definitely did its job. It made the Manaphy go down. It chipped down the Mach. It got up a T-Spike to poison the Magmortar and the Gorgeist, so it definitely did very, very nice this game. As I am going to go on to my Victini, as he switches out, kind of scouting to see what I want to do, as he is going to, die to the Rocks Chip, so that it's going to be a kill for Garchomp right there, which is nice. Mega Medi, big threat, out of the way. He's going to go and do his Muck, get rid of the T-Spikes right there. So very good play on his part, just kind of scouting. I am going to go for the Will-O-Wisp right here again, and I miss, which is very, very unfortunate, but actually it kind of helps me in a way, because the Will-O-Wisp would have put him in range of his berry, where I wouldn't have been able to knock him out with this next Blue Flare, but due to me missing, he stays out of range. I'm able to get off a +2 Blue Flare, and we're going to see this actually does enough to knock out the Muck. So my special Victini coming through and is able to knock out the Muck with a +2 Blue Flare, which is very, very nice. He's going to go into his Lunala right here, and I should outspeed this thing, barring the fact that he's Choice Scarf, and I can get a big, big chunk off on it. As I do go into my, I do go for the Blue Flare. I knew it shouldn't kill, but he is going to be able to knock me out with a Moongeist Beam, which is totally fine. I'm actually kind of glad I got to see this animation on Wi-Fi. You don't usually get to see these cool Ubermons, do their thing on Wi-Fi, so that was pretty awesome. I am able to chip down the Lunala as my Victini goes down right here, but I am able to just kind of go out into my Lucario, and even if he's Colbur Berry, he will be in range of a Dark Pulse from our Lucario, so I am just going to go for that. I'm not going to mess around with this thing and, try and set up in front of it, because that's never smart against Lunala. As I am just going to be able to go for the Dark Pulse. He reveals to be Colbur, but Lucario's not that weak. There's no way that this isn't going to knock this thing out. So we were able to take out our opponent's Uber, which is phenomenal. And at this point, the game's looking just about over. There's not much he can do. I do believe the Magmortar is Specs, but it actually turns out, spoilers, that he actually did end up getting the absolute max roll on my Rotom earlier. So he is going to be a Scarf Modest set, and he is going to be able to knock out our Mega Lucario, which sucks, but at the same time, not a big deal. Our Spirit Tomb should be able to come in and win the game at this point. As right here, I am going to go out into it, after my Lucario goes down. I can go for a Sucker Punch. This thing's definitely in range of Sucker Punch, and then Shadow Ball should, be able to take out the Gourgeist. So he's going to switch out right here. Not too big of a deal. This is just him trying and play around the Sucker Punch and stuff like that. He goes out into the Gourgeist. He is able to frisk my leftovers, which again was already revealed and stuff like that. But the Sucker Punch is going to fail, and he's going to take a little bit more chip after this leftovers from the Toxic Spike that he took earlier. And I'm just going to spam Shadow Ball. This thing can't really do much versus me. If he goes for the Leech Seed, he's going to go down. If he goes for the Synthesis, we'll eventually, stall him out of his Synthesis, as he won't have enough PP to do so. So he's going to go for the Synthesis just to see if he can potentially, beat us that way. But we are just going to throw off Shadow Balls and not mess around with this thing, and get off a huge, huge chunk of damage. So Spirit Tomb actually put in a lot of work this week, able to do more than he is able to heal off. And we get the special defense drop, which pretty much seals it at this point. There's not much he can do to stall us out for sure now, because this next Shadow Ball should kill after the Synthesis if he wants to go for that. So I believe he is just going to just straight up trying to attack us this time, as he does go for the Leech Seed. he probably only had Foul Play as an attacking move. What did he reveal? Synthesis, Leech Seed, and Foul Play. He might have had something else, but it might have been his best move to hit us, as we are going to be able to knock out the Gorguys with our Spirit Tomb right here. Down it goes, and then the Magmortar is Choice Scarf, so we know we can just click Sucker Punch, and he's definitely in range after rocks of a Sucker Punch from our Spirit Tomb. So we are going to be able to pick up a 2-0 victory against Ole this week. And his Basel Bastiodons is, again, I think how you say it, but I could be completely butchering that. But down goes the Magmortar. A very, very good game to my opponent. It was a very close one. The Mega Medicham plus Lunala is an absolute nightmare to prep for. I didn't go into it too much, but prepping for those two monsters was terrifying. I'm just lucky enough to have one of the best blanket checks to both of them in the game in Spirit Tomb. And I figured Spirit Tomb would be a really nice pickup because of all the scary fighting type and ghost type Ubers there are. It's a very, very good low tier mon to check those two guys for me and, you know, make my team a lot easier. I also got the Victini got to put into work. I was really proud of that set. I think Flame Charge Weakness Policy is a really cool Victini set to potentially turn it from a breaker into a sweeper. If we would have just gotten a little bit more chip off on that Lunala, I think it actually would have just won the game right there, which would have been really cool, but nonetheless, not too big of a deal right there. Again, GG's to my opponent. Definitely check them out in the description below. And I also want to give a big shout out to my buddy Kurt, I totally forgot to do it in the beginning of the video, and I forgot to do it in my draft analysis earlier. But he actually made all of the GFX for the UPO season this season for free, and it all looks phenomenal. Like the draft slides we had, the battle thumbnails and all that, they all look really, really nice. So huge shout out to him. Definitely go check him out. He will also always be in the description below for doing so. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching. Be sure to sub so you guys can catch our battles as they go up for this league and all other ones. And I'll catch you guys later.